want to thank you all for being here. This is a subject that for me is sort of near and dear to my heart because I always enjoy getting out to see domestic producers. Most of them have been on the case goods and upholstery side of the business, but I've also had the chance to go to a mill or two and sort of get a little bit educated in the process of domestic manufacturing and the supply side. So I'm very pleased to be here, to introduce our panel, and we're going to talk about the state of the union in domestic manufacturing. So thank you all for being here. I'd like to introduce our panelists, Susie Roberts, Vice President and General Manager of Furnishings for Sunbrella, Sean Gibbons, President of STI and Revolution Fabrics, Ann Reynolds, Vice President of Design for Valdez Weavers, and Brian Burke, Director of Operations for Krypton Mills. Again, thank you all for being here. And why don't we start off, if we could, talking a little bit about your company and what its footprint kind of looks like from a domestic manufacturing standpoint. In other words, where your operations are located, where you're headquartered, that sort of thing. So, Susie, would you like to start? Okay, there you go.
So again, Susie Roberts with Glen Raven Sunbrella, and a little bit about our company. Glen Raven is over 140 years old, still a family-owned textile company here in North Carolina. We do have global operations, but the predominance of what we do is in the U.S. We've got 5 facilities that are in North Carolina and South Carolina, and that is, the heartbeat of our Sunbrella brand is in Anderson, South Carolina. Introduced Sunbrella in 1961 after going through cotton mill is how we started. And then after that, we went into parachute fabrics during the war. After that, we went into various other things like pantyhose, if you can imagine that. So innovation is part of our DNA and who we are. And that's who Glen Raven is. Oh, are we sharing this one? Yes. Okay.
Can you hear me? I'm Sean Gibbons. I'm the president and CEO of STI Revolution. We also own Brentwood Fabrics, part of our group. We are located in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. We have 3 facilities there that are around 650,000 square feet. Today we have around 250 associates. I was hired during COVID. We're celebrating our 60th year in business. We opened in 1964, 2 years before I was born. My father started working there in around the year I was born. Now my 2 sons work with 2 of my 3 sons work with me, but we have a lot of employees that have been with us 40 or more years. We've been in the community a long time, and that's important to us. But we do everything in those 3 facilities, all in Kings Mountain. We do the designing, warping, weaving, finishing. We make yarn. It's a really great facility. Anybody who'd ever like to come take a tour, we love showing it off. We introduced we've used every fiber imaginable except probably silk. Besides upholstery, we've also been in specialty transportation markets, which we exited that a long time ago, but it gave us a lot of experience, both in what we call flat goods, but also velvets. We've been a velvet mill in the past, not today. One of the biggest things that ever happened to us, and I'll admit, I was inspired by what my friend Susie and her group had done at Glen Raven with the Sunbrella brand. We introduced Revolution in 2015, but we wanted to be different. And we not only didn't use PFAS on our product, we made it part of our ethos. And today, Revolution still has no chemical treatment and some of the best performance in the industry. We continue to innovate, making the yarns. We use synthetic yarns now. We used cotton in the past, but we moved to synthetics because it's really for performance and upholstery. It's a better vehicle, better raw material, and so we introduced the Revolution brand in 2015, and it's really changed our company forever. And we're really glad we did it, and we've invested heavily to make it a real brand and not just an industry brand. We even opened an online store selling to designers. We see it as a good business, but also we wanted to be in that ecosystem, reaching the design trade. And this was very different for us because we always sold not just manufacturers, but really the large manufacturers who were our focus. And the Chinese coming in their market heavily in 2005 changed my focus there. And I saw that we needed to expand. We needed to go up. We need more styling, more design, more creativity. And so that's where we are today. So I'm honored to be on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Ann Reynolds again with Valdez Weavers. Our mill is located in Valdez, North Carolina, foothills of the North Carolina mountains. We have 4 facilities, about 700,000 square feet total, and we have about currently about 800 employees, plus or minus. Let's see, where to begin? We started in 1915 as a Waldensian silk embroidery mill. And so we've been in business for over 100 years. We celebrated our centennial in, I think, 2015. We became a ESOP company in 2015, and then full ESOP in 2016, 100% ESOP. So we are an employee-owned company, which is very exciting. But the markets that we cover, we're very diverse. We are in the contract business, so we sell to OEM manufacturers as well as hospitality, the hospitality industry, and then of course residential. The brands that we sell are our Valdez Weavers brand, our Circa 1801, which is our boutique brand. We acquired Dicey Fabrics in 2015 also, and so we've used the assets from the Dicey mill to actually begin extruding polypropylene, and from there we've become a fully vertical mill, manufacturing our own yarns, novelty bouclés, air textured yarns, and then we also produce our inside out product line from the Dicey mill assets as well. So those are the brands that we cover, and as Sean said, we've evolved and now sell to all markets and also the design trade too. So it's evolving world, everything's changing for all of us, but thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Burke. I'm the Director of Operations for Krypton Mills, and Krypton Mills is in Cliffside, North Carolina. So I work for Krypton. It's a 30-year brand, performance technology, selling fabrics into the contract market and to the home market. And so long story short, Krypton definitely wanted to have a domestic presence to be closer to everyone in this room, to the design community, to customers who could influence what textiles look like. And so we said, let's dive in. We make yarn, novelty yarns. We also weave fabric. We have a finishing plant that finishes the fabric at Krypton Mills, but also part of the Krypton brand. But basically, we're a technology company. And with that said, I've had the pleasure to work with a lot of people in this room because our industry is definitely close-knit, and it's good to see everyone. Thanks.
Well, thank you all. That's some great descriptions of your companies and your capabilities. Obviously, it's a very crowded field in the textile business, competition across many different fronts. Can you tell us a little bit about how demand has been for you of late? You know, we're in a soft retail environment, a challenging retail environment, and I've heard a lot of, companies talk about specific retailers by name, like that they're selling these companies directly as opposed to through a wholesaler or distributor, for example. But what's the business environment been like for you all as a domestic producer of late? Can you share a little insight about that?
Oh, I can start. So again, I think we would all, we were all chatting before we got started, and the last 4 years, I think, have been very challenging for all of us. I don't think any of us were immune to that. There's a lot of things happening with, lower consumer confidence today, a lot of geopolitical. So there's a lot of question marks. So I do think retail is still soft right now across the board. But, you know, some of the things that we do to address that is we, from Glen Raven's umbrella standpoint, in the markets that we serve, we look at it as partnerships. So we really don't look at it as we're trying to just sell a yard of fabric. It really is, how can we address whatever the concerns or goals are that our customers or partners are having? Because it affected everybody differently. Everybody has different goals or different things that they need to overcome. So that's the way that we've approached it, and that's been very successful for us and kept us in a healthy position.
Yeah, COVID took us to heights we could have never have imagined. I was just spent most of 2020 and 2021 praying that the fax machine would stop. And then in the spring of 22, you could see it sliding and thought, okay, well, you know, that was bound to happen. But then it's gone down to a level, really a recession level, and stayed there for almost 2 years now. And I don't see any end in sight until interest rates are cut and we start selling homes at a much more robust rate than we are today. But I've looked at it as really an opportunity. We've made some really good changes in our business, in our team. There's nothing like a slow environment to get everyone extremely focused. We've created some innovation in new yarns and fabric constructions, colorations. We've developed relationship with new retailers. We've gone into new markets, and it's all going to make us better at the end of the day. So I think this is going to end up being a really good thing for STI. You have to adapt. You have to be realistic, but the market is very challenging today.
And I think likewise, we've found that the collaboration with some of our retailers and has been beneficial to both of us, and we've developed some great partnerships. We've got a retail sales team that's, you know, really calling on that demand, and then we've got people, our design staff in-house that focused on that product and putting together beautiful product for those clients. So anything that we can do that's flexible or showing our flexibility and being flexible and nimble is I think very key for us in this environment.
So you're hearing the words relationship, you're hearing the word connection, collaboration with customers. So that's the theme over the last 4 years. To talk a little more broad brush, contract continues to be off. The amount of contract business, even hospitality, with the amount of travel that is occurring, that doesn't mean people are investing in the hotels yet. It's starting up. But if a mill is only serving the contract market, it would be very, very tough times. And the growth is starting, but it's still not at a percentage. So then with the opposite side, of course, is home. It boomed. It continues to be strong. If you have these relationships in place and the customers are willing to share what they're doing, then things can continue very, very strongly. That's if the relationships are there. It's a totally different meeting if a customer is saying, I'm working on X, Y, and Z. Here are the color gaps. Let's work this out together. If that communication is occurring, things look very, very good. If you're outside of that conversation and a mill or a company is not trusted right now, it's hard to make a way. So in the end, business still remains more than reasonable because of the home side, but for sure, it's mixed.
Brian, you really touched on an excellent point there in terms of the diversification of the business. And I think all of you have addressed that too. And it's, you know, we've heard that like when the residential side is soft, for example, hospitality or hotels would be stronger. So, I mean, are the rest of you all seeing as well more demand on the residential side right now in your businesses? And would you like to start off?
Sure. Yes, because we do service both the contract and the home furnishings industry, but our contract business has been slightly off recently. But we cover so many different segments of the contract market that's, it's hard to say, but definitely a little bit under the interior residential market. So.
Sean, would you like to talk about that?
Our core business, our largest volume category is with large stocking retailers like Raymore Flanagan, Rooms to Go, and then at a higher level, Room and Board, people like that, but they do special order as well. But those large stocking dealers where you can only buy it the way you see it, we still have all of our programs in place. We've gotten more programs, but the demand is just so depressed that, they're there, they're still working. The level of everything is just way down.
Bob, were you going to add something? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't. Yeah, so the key to this this time is to really be able to get in front of our customer's customer, and that's a difficult opportunity. But our business through Krypton is very strong right now because more consumers believe that performance fabric is important, and as long as it works, then everybody in a way can win because it's cleanable, because it delivers in the promises. So we're finding that as we are educating our customers, as we're getting in front, especially on the marketing side, to the consumer, to the people who are selling, that they really feel good about a performance fabric that keeps its word. And then if you can deliver in the sense of good looks, great hand, lots of texture, and then more than reasonable delivery, stock levels and all the things that it takes, then people are excited. If any one of us perhaps stubs our toe, which just happens in business, like that's really hard. Like it's hard to recover from that. So we're very competitive with each other, but it's because we're all trying to do the right thing to deliver beautiful fabric that works with ethics, right? So that's where we are.
Yeah, if I can just add, because you were talking about residential versus commercial, and I would say from Glen Raven's standpoint, we are in the indoor, outdoor markets, of course, and in contract. And in contract, we take that down into more of like an office or hospitality, kind of in those subcategories. So I'd say that hospitality is still kind of holding its own, right? Where office, as we know, over the last 3 to 4 years, that's really declined with remote work. And just going with what you said, Brian, too, indoor and outdoor for us. So I do think during the pandemic, a lot of outdoor people, outdoor rooms were recognized. People were trying to get out of their house. So that really exploded. And I do think that people now expect performance fabrics inside. And I do think that that outdoor room had a lot to do with it. You could see that you could still have gorgeous textured umbrella fabrics outside that can still come inside. So you still have to have that aesthetic, but it really helped on the indoor side of things.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point because, certainly within showrooms that we visit at market, whether it's Vegas or High Point, we hear a lot about some crossover, particularly in upholstery, primarily of indoor looks that can easily work outdoor as well and vice versa. So that's sort of an interesting dynamic. But we also hear that there's a lot of companies on the furniture side, wholesalers that are looking to tap into the designer market. How strong would you say your business is relating to the design trade? Susie, would you like to?
I mean, so again, we do really look at the design trade and partner with some of our customers that really focus in on that. So we do a lot of design collaboration to make sure that we're getting as much of an offering of Sunbrella out there with our decorative partners in that field. So we have an extensive design library. So we think that we can cover any kind of look that our partners are looking for. So we do address that through our partners to make sure that there is a wide variety of Sunbrella that's available to the design trade.
Yeah, we opened an entire business division in 2017 to address the design trade, and is our the fastest growing segment of our business by far. We started in 2017. We've now sold cut yardage Revolution fabric to over 30,000 design businesses, and most of those customers are returning because the product, number one, has really industry leading performance. Lipstick, mascara, the oily salad dressing, the stains that C0 has a hard time holding up to. Revolution, it all comes completely off. And we're working with influencers. We're collaborating on collections with people like Cheryl Luckett. We just did a show house in Atlanta with Cheryl. We're making videos. We're posting them on social. We're just doing all these things that when I started 32 years ago, the technology didn't exist, but STI was more of a manufacturing driven mill, and we did. I mean, sample tags were our marketing. It was just non-existent. Maybe a Furniture Today ad every once in a while. So the world has just changed. We love working with the designers. We like holding them, getting their opinion of fabrics. It's made us a much better company working with the design trade.
And same for Valdez. I remember when our showroom was here in the tower, we would put up a sign that said no designers, by appointment only. So, but now we actually, as we all are doing, evolving and for the market and the world today. So I have our Inside Out brands and our Sustain brands that we market directly to the public. And going after that, we make sure the color palettes are right for the design trade. So anything that we can do, social media, just getting our name out there and continuing to market and design for that trade is just evolving.
The best compliment that Krypton's getting right now is like someone will look at a fabric and say, I can't believe this is Krypton, in the sense that when something's soft and there is not a fiber restriction, that's really exciting, right? So cotton, linen, rayon, of course, basic traditional fibers, all of those are needed. But when you make novelty yarns, and then you have the soft tan from different fibers, and the only thing that is really hard to deliver on is people want more and more and more color. So even if you have the right textile, if someone perceives it's the wrong color, will you do such and such, and I'll give you 60 yards. So those are some of the requests. So there's a balancing act of beautiful design-driven opportunities that really can't run a mill. I mean, a lot of folks don't want to hear that part of it, but so that's.
Anne, you mentioned something earlier I thought was interesting about this idea of the name getting out to the public. And obviously there's a way to make that connection with designers and their clients. But I'm curious about the consumer. I think there's some interest among the American consumer for products that are made in the United States, made in America. I'm just curious to the extent that you work with your customers or retailers to tout the fact that this is a made in America product. And are you getting any traction from that from what you can see at the retail level?
Absolutely. I think that Made in America is definitely a very valid and a strong request. And we do have conversations pretty much with all of our customers. I think it is definitely a topic that comes up every day, especially now at Interwoven. It's something that we all talk about. So,
Brian, are you seeing any of that as well in terms of the recognition of the brand? It sounded like there is definitely with you folks.
Customers appreciate all of our investment in domestic textiles. For the job side of things, the labor market, the artisans, the whole supply chain, there's a recognition. And something that is not ignored is price. So there's the balance between everything we're bringing as a domestic mill but yet there is a price point that you have to hit that's reasonable. Now, what reasonable is, that depends on who you're interacting with. But if it's not a reasonable price, then the Made in America only has so much traction.
Sean?
Yeah, Made in America is very important. And we made it part of the Revolution brand. It's not just high-wear or easy to clean. It's also we made that it's made in America from almost completely domestic materials. We made that part of the brand. And there's some marketing you can do and some consumers who will support things because they're American made. But I really think what I'm here today and STI is in business is because our customers who make upholstery furniture here in the United States, domestic means reliable. If you're in North Carolina, our factory is probably an hour from the furniture factory. And it means you're going to get it. It means there's no ocean freight issues. It means you don't hear it stuck in customs. It don't mean, the container's here, but the fabric's wrong. When can you get some more? Well, about 4 months from now, we'll have some unless you want to pay to fly it over at $6 a yard. So we can innovate. Some of our most exciting fabrics here at market, they did not exist. The yarns to make them didn't exist 2 weeks ago. So now we have full color lines. We're ready to start shipping if you want to give us an order. And those are kind of things you just can't do overseas. It means reliability. It means innovation. It means fast to the market.
I'll just add to that. I agree with Sean. I do think, again, not to keep reflecting on the last 40 years, but I do think that's why it's become much more important, right? So it's the ease of being able to do that business here in the United States. Now, from a Glen Raven perspective, again, most of our umbrella fabrics are made here in the USA. We also believe, though, that we've got to be close to our customers and where they are. So that's why we actually have our France and one plant in China. So again, I think it is important, but I do think a lot of it has to do with the supply chain. But we've got our Anderson facility is over 1 million square feet. And again, it's the heartbeat of our umbrella brand. And as Sean said earlier, we invite you to come visit anytime because it is a great facility. It's a great way to learn what does go on here in the US. And we certainly want to support the communities that we're in and really training and educating our staff and making sure that they're honing in on their craftsmanship.
Thank you. Very, very good. I'm hearing a lot, or asking a lot too about just different price points and just from what I've heard in talking some of the domestic mills that there's some competitive pricing out there right now. Can you talk prices and value is sort of in the eye of the beholder, but what do you get any pushback from your customers in terms of, whether it's a wholesaler or manufacturer, importer, or a retailer, how much pushback do you get relative to price? Because we know the labor costs are higher here than they are, the benefits here than they are even in Mexico, certainly in Vietnam, and even India and China. I mean, how difficult is it to navigate this subject of price as a domestic producer? Susie, would you like to try that one?
I mean, I don't want to answer for everybody up here, but I think, to be completely honest, yeah, sure. We always, price is always going to come up. I do think, again, what we do with our partners here is that we're offering not just a fabric. So once somebody experiences working with us and using our fabrics, we have the most comprehensive warranty that's out there that's covering any issues that may arise. We also have a Umbrella care team that really works with any of the manufacturers, any of the retailers, and the consumers if they've got questions about how to do something. So we really focus in on what we bring other than just a yard of fabric. And so it really justifies the pricing.
Yeah, what I would add to all that, I agree with all that. Because we sell into the promotional space, I like it because even our customers there, they don't beat us over the head with what China can do. They know that we make it here. We pay U.S. labor and costs, and we can't we can't hit the price points that China can do, but they want to support us if it works for the mission they're trying to accomplish, which is make furniture and sell it to whatever retailers they focus on. And they try really hard to use our fabrics because we have relationships, we're reliable, we bring innovation, and they value us. So yeah, there's always conversations about price, but I feel like we have really good partners too.
And again, I sort of echo both of those sentiments. We, Valdez Weavers, with all of our brands, a Sustain brand up to Circa, we cover just such a wide range of prices that it's not typically a conversation. And just again, with the, partnerships and knowing that it's domestic made, our customers understand, and it's not typically a big conversation that we have.
The price value equation of something, regardless of the price that it looks more than, that is the common denominator. And so if all the other pieces are in place and it's a good value, a proven textile, then it truly, everybody feels good about it. With that said, there are customers that expect every company to be able to meet them where they are. So we have operations in China for the China to China business. We have European partnerships, and then strategically we have the domestic mill. So it really is a balance of making sure that Krypton and textile mills allow for customers to get what they want, where they want, when they want it. But nothing replaces a great look at a price that looks even better than that.
Brian, does the speed to market equation as a domestic producer, how does that play in with your international sourcing, relationships? In other words, is that does that help seal the deal in certain areas of your business, as opposed to the sourcing aspect? I mean, how much of a factor is speed to market these days?
It's huge. It starts with connecting with your customer, following through, and keeping your word. So on the product development side, if we're strategizing with someone and then showing them color work, trials, blankets in days to a week, and truly can be put to bed, even if it's X%, that's like, wow, we've made that customer realize that they can trust us and we'll follow through. And we then have to invest in inventory. So the forecasting part of having raw material ready to go and trying to steer the ship a little bit so no one's stubbing their toe by not having the right color, the right product. So lots of communication, speed to market, and then executing, right? So even if it's beautiful and they need it in 2-3 weeks and we break that promise, that's a hard road to recover. Did that answer your?
Yes, thank you so much. And would you like to address the demand in terms of, and I don't know to what degree you all have imported products or if it's all domestic?
We do. We supplement our lines. Basically, that's the way we look at our imports. It's supplementing and complementing the product that we make domestically. So we stock velvets, everything that we don't or cannot produce and don't choose to produce at our mills is what we supplement with our global product. So, and we stock it. What we do source, we stock. So our speed to market is pretty quick.
In around 2005, when China really started hammering our business, we went international big time. We opened a sourcing office in Shanghai. We built a cut and sew facility in Nicaragua. Did that at the peak. We had 1,200 sewers and cutters and sewers working in Nicaragua. And the reason we did that because our promotional customers had shifted. They took all their sewing machines out. They started bringing in kits from China, and they loved our fabrics. They hit the price points, but they didn't have cutting and sewing. So we did that, and it was a very successful operation that we sold in 2019 to our partner who ran the business. And then the sourcing office in Shanghai, it was a good business. And then I watched the margins just shrink and shrink and shrink. And I saw undifferentiated product, because it seems like anything you can find in China, you can find 10 other guys to make pretty much the same thing. So we decided to exit that business as well. I felt pretty smart when COVID hit, getting out of both of those things. But STI we're focused on our domestic business. We're focused on Revolution, and I really like it. But as all those moves show, we have to deal with whatever reality the markets are in at that time, and we're going to make the moves that make sense for STI.
Yeah, so again, speed to market, I think we all agree. I mean, it's critical, right? Whether that's here or globally. So again, we don't import anything because we are in Europe and in China, so that we can do speed to market fairly quickly. I will say again, like Sean said, the US is our biggest market. It is what we focus on. It is our most decorative market. So we actually made some critical investments for ourselves because we're a vertical mill. And so we have a novelty yarn plant that our design staff loves now, because we can go play, we can look at things, and we can introduce things to market very quickly. And that's been very beneficial for us.
Thank you. One of the things that we've heard in just traveling around North Carolina and other areas to visit with domestic manufacturers, whether it's on the case goods side or mostly upholstery manufacturers, one of the biggest challenges that they have faced is the challenge of retaining and recruiting workers. Now, some of that has eased a little bit, but I think it's still an issue to a large degree because you have a lot of multi-generational talent within these factories. So there's the need for younger talent. How would you describe the labor situation right now in terms of your respective mills?
Sure. So, I mean, for us, again, our biggest manufacturing in the U.S. is in Anderson, South Carolina, and then other parts of North Carolina. One thing that we've done, I mean, the last 4 years, yeah, it was tough, right? It was really tough as people were going from one to the other. Retentions were very low for us. So what we've done is really done some targeted marketing and looking in the communities that we're in, and really posing these as more of thinking career, not just a job, right? And how we can help the community and with training and education to really bring them in and look at this more as a career from manufacturing that could go into other things, not just as a weaver or a job.
Finding labor has been very challenging for a long time, and it's caused us to put a lot of resources and energy into our HR department, where our HR folks are going into high schools and trying to get them for those kids that aren't going to college, to make them aware of opportunities. We also we started a program, I think it's around 7 years ago. We won the governor's award for that program in the business category last year. And that's a work release where nonviolent offenders who are still incarcerated come to work in our facility every day. It's just a part of our workforce, and it's not about saving money. They're paid the exact same rates that our other employees are paid, so they can save some money. We help them actually transition out of prison, which is much more difficult than you may realize, because to get a place to live, you have to have an ID. To get an ID, you have to have a place to live. So we help them do those kind of things. But yeah, it's gotten a little better with the economy and air cooling, but we're also in the Charlotte metro area, so it's not cooling. It's challenging, and it will probably always be, but you have to work harder. You have to make it honestly a better place to work. You have to pay more. Again, that's part of why our fabrics cost more than goods that are made in Asia.
Yes, and we've also, our HR department has invested a lot of time and resources and training and doing different techniques and trying different things to recruit new people. And so it's also been challenging. But I think the fact that Valdez Weavers is 100% ESOP, I think that is something that has been a big draw to people to actually be part owner in our company. and creates just you believe in it, what you're doing. And so I think that's been a big plus for Valdez Weavers.
Making sure pay rates are elevated is key, especially for skilled labor jobs, meaning fixers and weavers and technicians, and promoting from within. That is huge. Word of mouth is one of the biggest recruiting positives that can occur, because people will sense if the work environment is not positive, through interactions, supervision. We know this in this room, right? That you stay where where you feel like you can bloom and that you're appreciated. So there's a lot of education of supervision about communication, awareness, and then communication about the business. We try to communicate literally how we're doing with customers, and so-and-so's coming in today, and here's what may result. And we show samples and colors, and that whole idea of geographically working close to home, but also feeling that you're appreciated, that goes a long way. But none of it is supersedes a reasonable pay, strong benefits, and other sorts of advantages that we can offer.
Brian, I'd like to follow up some of the points that you made. All excellent. All the points that you all made were very good on this subject, because it's one of the biggest challenges that we continue to hear for within the manufacturing realm. But we've also heard, in the case goods and the upholstery side, the investment in new technologies and new equipments also is kind of a marketing tool particularly for a younger workforce. They see the opportunity to learn how to operate some new equipment, some advanced technology as a sort of a challenge and something that's appealing. Whereas maybe, an older generation of workers, and I would put myself in this realm for sure, that's more of a challenge to learn some of that new technology. Is that any, has that had any influence on the recruitment process or retention process of younger workers that you've seen?
It all matters. More than new technology, a clean work environment. So if someone sees a work area that's organized, clean, there is specific communication on how they can advance, then the amount of innovation for that person in that moment may be secondary. But if none of that exists, and then you have a brand new machine that you're going to be properly trained, then that could be a game changer. So we found that there has to be the proper balance of creating the work family, the communication, the cleanliness, the benefits, and then innovation within the machinery is part of that.
It has to be a good place to work overall. Anybody else would like to address that?
I mean, I can speak from a design point of view, as well as just a company point of view. One of the things that excites us the most is we are constantly investing in new technology as far as like yarn equipment, yarn making equipment, and then design technology, computer systems. So from a design perspective, that's very exciting. And I think that is a big draw, and is, then allows us more creativity to create more beautiful products. So.
Right.
One thing to add.
Yeah, please.
The amount of hours, folks want the reliability of X hours per week. But if you say to somebody, please sign up for 50 hours a week and it's going to be indefinite, you will be pushing some folks out the door. And I'm not talking about work ethic. I'm not going down that road, but there is that predictability of the work environment and the hours that really are important, and the machines. But
when we introduced Revolution 2015, it went just crazy, and we were adding capacity, but we ran 7 days a week for, I think, until 2018. And I don't think we could do that today, because the workforce has changed, expectations have changed. And I'm not saying that was even a reasonable thing to ask, but everybody did it, and they made a lot of money, and they seemed happy enough, but I don't think we could do that today.
Yeah, so I agree with Brian. I do think it's, you're asking about younger generations getting into this business. I think being clear and having a career path for them, what are the opportunities for them is really important. The technology is something that they're either learning or have already learned a baseline on. In addition to that, I would just say that it's not just at the factory level too, the way that we think about technology and what's out there. So we also try to focus on that from how it services our customer better, like a B2B portal, that type of thing. And when you allow, IT technology and what has really progressed there and how we use that to support our customers, that's something else that does draw younger generations in.
Excellent, excellent. All great answers and a good discussion. We're getting close to the end of our time here, but I would like to open it up to any questions that we may have from the audience on this subject of domestic manufacturing. Is there anything that we have not addressed or covered in this that you would all like to? Yes.
My question is innovation. So talk about machinery investments, et cetera, for efficiency. What about technologies of chemistry and other fibers? What are the American market manufacturing add up?
Great question. Anybody want to take that?
Yeah, starting around 2005, as the mills in our area started going out of business, the yarn suppliers that supplied them started going out of business. And we used to just be able to buy it off the shelf, and they're great, innovative, beautiful yarns. And so it led us, we had to develop our own supply chain from the extrusion to the novelty yarns, the chenilles, the boucles, air texturing, all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it pushed us. I mean, the whole world changed, and we had to really work on our supply chains to be here. So that's where a lot of our innovation is. Like at STI, it's taken a raw material polypropylene that people use to make really cheap fabrics. That's why we started using it. But now we're selling it to some of the highest end retailers in the world. So we've innovated. We made the deniers finer. We're putting dulling agents in it. We're doing color development that people didn't think you could do in that fiber. So just, yeah, real innovation, taking different materials and doing new things with them that especially they may not be doing in Asia with those materials.
And we've traveled to European shows. We're constantly sourcing new yarns, looking at what's out there. We have an R&D department that focuses on developing new yarns, new technologies, paying attention to new chemistry that's out there. So it's a big part of our R&D department that, we want to stay on top, and we want to be competitive, and we want to, know what's out there, what everybody else is asking for. And so it's a very big part of what we do, is not just machinery, but also technology.
So Krypton is a technology company. So we have in-house chemists who do our own mixture, our own evaluation, and making sure that when we literally apply the technology to a fabric, that it lasts. And part of that decision to not outsource any of the raw materials is for the confidence that we're communicating to our customers. You can rely on the cleanability, you can rely on the stain resistance, you can rely upon the fashion part of it. So there is no substitute for the innovation in chemistry and application.
Yeah, so I'll just add to that from Sunbrella's standpoint. I mean, we also have an R&D team that really stays on top of chemistries and what's out there, and we want to know how we can do that, but that it really still hits our sustainability story as well, because we want to make sure we're doing the right things, and we don't really rely on that as much as others do. The thing I would add to that from innovation standpoint is, one thing we like to do is really look at other industries, what's happening outside of this industry. What do we learn from that? How do we bring it back and apply it to what we do? For example, expanding our Sunbrella portfolio, we actually have a synthetic leather fabric that we did with a partner. And so that was really kind of looking outside of what was our comfort zone to really bring new and different products to the market. So there's various ways of looking at innovation, not just chemistry.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody else? Oh, yeah, please. Thank you.
Are the current tariffs affecting supply products at a possible level? And if those go away, how will they impact your business?
Great question. Thank you.
I can be brief on this one. I mean, with us having manufacturing, not just in the US, but in China, we're not as affected by those tariffs. Now, I know that a lot of our customers are, especially with some of the new things that are coming out, not that are just fabric related, but aluminum extrusion related. So we try to stay on top of that and make sure our customers are aware of it and how we can help them so that they don't lose any of their profitability.
When I look at the prices on Chinese fabrics today, I can't tell that there are tariffs. So I guess there are. No, it's crazy. The prices I see. I mean, we could put the yarn, everything you need to make the fabric in a box and ship it to you and say, weave it yourself. We couldn't beat these prices. So it's something it's more than inexpensive labor that's going on here, honestly. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not so, it's pretty similar to what we do. They do it in China, we do it here, but it's weaving, it's polyester is a global commodity, polypropylene is a global commodity. Have some idea what their yarns cost. A lot of fabrics, it doesn't add up.
Couldn't agree more with Sean's statement. There seems to be no price bottom regardless of whatever the tariff situation would be. So, but you asked, the question is great in this sense that Krypton recognized that without a domestic manufacturing presence, that it had to be strategically part of what we offer to our customers. So buying a mill, running a mill domestically is all part of whatever happens geopolitically. We're ready to support the performance brands.
Thank you. Would you care to? Okay. Okay. Maybe one last question if anybody has one. Anything else? Yes, thank you. Here's just have a round for our panelists. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to our panel, to our moderator. I appreciate all of you being here again. And have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah.